What up, everybody? It's your boy Jerome. I'm here today and I'm doing a new review for I'm doing a new show, and I'm doing How to Get Away with Murder. And also to anybody out there who watches my Black Ink review, I am going to do Black Ink Crew New York. I'm just behind on it, but I will do the episode that came on last night, and also I will do my Real Housewives of Dallas. I will be doing both of those tomorrow, which is Friday, and we'll get them out there. So like I said, today is going to be How to Get Away with Murder. This is season 5 and this is episode 1, and it is titled Your Funeral. So without further ado, I'm gonna get started with the video. All right, so this episode, it opens up with and you know how to get away with murder is. It starts a few months, few weeks, few days, or however so in the future, and then we fast forward to the present. So this season's future, we see everybody at a party, and then we see a wedding cake with a 2-groom topper. So it's safe to assume that this is both Connor and Oliver's wedding. And Annalise is out on the dance floor having a good ass time and all that kind of stuff. And then she looks over in the corner and she sees Frank with that creepy ass look on his face. And she goes up to Frank and basically asks Frank, what happened? You look like you killed somebody. And his face, he just never said anything. So then we go out, and then they go outside in the snow, and you can see a track of blood leading up to somebody, and we don't know who that is. And then it fast forwards 3 months into the future. So 3 months into the future, Annalise is back working at Middleton. She still has her clinic and all that kind of stuff. And we also have I don't know what his name is, so I'm gonna call him New West for now, until I find out the little character's name. He is New West. So Annalise is still her kick-ass self, and she wants to know why all of the kids are in her class. So, she started looking at some of them. She tells them, go. I know you pay for this class, but you got to go. And then, she then at that point, after she gets the few out that she's already going to kick out, she then asks the kids each a question, and she separates them, right side, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, so on and so forth. So then once she finally gets all the kids, on the left and the right side, she tells the ones on the right side, to leave, and at the kids on the left side, they have to, stand before her and argue their passions that they were talking about when she was questioning them. Okay, and then once the class is over with, they are all leaving out, and then you see Frank creepy ass outside with baby Christopher. Now, when I was looking at baby Christopher, I know that this show has fast forwarded from last season, but this baby looks a complete opposite of what little Christopher looked like last season, because little Christopher last season was darker, but now this season little Christopher is lighter. But whatever, Shonda, that's what you like, can't hate on that. So basically when Frank comes there, he wants to talk to Annalise, but Annalise is like, what, Frank, I don't have time for you right now. Whatever you want to talk about, absolutely not. So then, the kids all follow outside behind Annalise, and Annalise basically is telling them, she wants to set boundaries with them. She doesn't want, it to seem like she has favoritism towards any of them. And, Michaela gets on my nerves sometimes. She's like, okay, that's fine. I'm like, Michaela, please shut up. So, once Annalise leaves away from them, New West comes up behind Annalise, basically kissing Annalise's ass, telling Annalise that, she's the reason that he came to Middleton. And she's like, you think this is the first time I've heard that? And like I said, he's basically just sucking up to Annalise. I don't know if it's going to work or not. For some reason, when I look at New West, I think of Old West. And I'm like, Annalise is going to take a liking to him for some particular reason. And then next we have Annalise. She's over at Kaplan and Gold. And Tegan is, when she gets off the elevator, Tegan is there. And Annalise is there actually because, Kaplan and Gold is extending a job offer to Annalise. But Tegan does not want Annalise to take this job. And, I don't really understand why Tegan doesn't want her. I mean, I guess because of all the shit that happened last season with that, with Laurel's father and all that kind of stuff. She just still has a bad taste in her mouth for Annalise. So, Annalise goes down and sit with the partners and all that kind of stuff. And they basically, they want her to be the lead counsel and all that kind of stuff. And then they show her an offer, And Annalise looks at the offer that they presented to her, and basically Annalise is like, this is a lowball offer. I'm worth more than what you guys are trying to offer with me. So then they we see her where she went to some other firms and she's negotiating with them. So Annalise basically at this point has options. It's not just Kaplan and Go. She has a bunch of other people who are actually interested in working with her, so that, in order to help fund the clinic and all that kind of stuff, and help her with her class action lawsuit. This. All right, and then you got Laurel. She is putting down little baby Chris, and Michaela comes in there, and Michaela is going on and on about Marcus, how he, the qualifications that he has, which makes her feels like he might be the one. And I'm like, Michaela, you just broke up with Asher. How can this be the one for you? Like, whatever. And she's talking about how she wants to send a text message to Marcus and all that kind of stuff. And she shows Laurel the text message that she wants to send to him. And Laurel's like, no, this makes you look a little desperate. So, they leave out the room. They go back to where Frank and all the other guys are. And then, once they sit down, baby Chris starts to cry again. And then, Laurel's like, I just changed his diaper and all that kind of stuff. So then Frank is like, let me go in there. And then, they all start questioning Laurel about Frank and all that kind of stuff. And Laurel is like, she doesn't feel anything for Frank. But they're trying to tell her, she's like, he just loves baby Chris. And then they're like, he also has feelings for you too. And Laurel's like, it's not like that and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, Laurel, it is like that. You can clearly tell that Frank still has feelings for you, but you are stringing Frank along at this point, and it's not going to end well in the end. Laurel literally gets on my nerves sometimes. Like, every season, Laurel works my nerves. But so far, she's not doing anything to work my nerves. But I don't get how she doesn't see that Frank does have feelings for her and her baby at the same time. Like, Laurel, use your head, girl. All right. So then we move over to Bonnie's office. So, Bonnie is in her office with the guy Miller that she, last season when it ended, she was on that dating app and she swiped to the left or right, and he was a match because he liked her as well. So, Nate walks into the office and, they kind of stop whatever they were doing, and, he leaves out of the office, and then, Nate is giving Bonnie a hard time, basically telling Bonnie that she wants him. And she's like, no, I don't want him. What I'm doing is I'm using him because she feels like Denver, being close to him, if anybody has those files that Denver had on them that Nate told her about last season, is going to be Miller. So basically she's working him to get information. And then, Nate asks her, well, does Annalise know anything about this? And she's like, no. And she doesn't need to find out anything. And then when he says that, her phone goes off and she says, speak of the witch, and so she goes outside and she talks to Annalise. So what Annalise wants to do is, with these firms that are giving her the offers, what she wants to do is for her and Bonnie to get back together and start working together. But Bonnie is really hesitant about this because of their relationship with each other. And, Annalise is just like, what, we can do this. She's like, I love you, Bonnie. And, we know that they love each other, but it's a horrible love. Like when they're on a high, they're on a high, extreme high. But when it's bad between Bonnie and Annalise, things are really rough. So I definitely get where Bonnie's coming from, because Bonnie's like, I'm trying to protect us. And I definitely get that because, like I said, when things are good between Annalise and Bonnie, it's really good. But when it's really bad, shit is, horrible between those two. So like I said, I get where Bonnie is coming from. All right, now we have Frank. He's talking with somebody about New West and basically why he's, at Middleton and all that kind of stuff. And then, you have the kids in the other room. They are eating because Oliver brought some food home. And then there's also a package. And, he hands it to Laurel. And she's like, where'd this package come from? He said it was outside. So, Laurel opens up the package. And when she opens it up, she pulls out her baptismal gown and all that kind of stuff. And she says it is from her mom because her mom wanted her child to, preferably her daughter, to wear when she was baptized and all that kind of stuff. And I think it was either Asher or Oliver said, well, I guess that's a good thing because you didn't kill your mom, right? And I'm like, well, god damn, like, say what you really thinking. But, when whoever said that, she looked at Frank, and Frank has this weird look on his face, which we still don't know what happened to her mom from last season. So we're not really 100% positive that her mother is alive or that she's dead. Because Connor, he did ask a question when she said it was from her mom. he was like, could it be from your brother, a house, anybody in the house or not, or something like that. And she was like, she was adamant that it was not somebody else, that it was her mother, which I'm kind of begging the question, was it her mother or was it someone else? Because we all know how Frank can be once he kills somebody. Like, we know how Frank can be. Okay, and we have Annalise. She goes over to Nate's house with some paperwork that she needs him to sign. Well, she needs his dad to sign in order to get this case going, further. And, she's talking about, he tells, actually, Nate is telling Annalise about Bonnie, not going to, leave the DA's office for her and all that kind of stuff. And Annalise is basically just like, with all the stuff that I've done for Bonnie, she's just hurt. And I definitely get it, everything that Annalise, because Annalise has done a whole hell of a lot for Bonnie, but she's done a whole lot of stuff, to hurt Bonnie at the same time. So, I guess I can understand on one side what Annalise is saying, but on the other side, I'm like, Annalise, you have done some stuff to Bonnie that is fucked up. So, I don't, like I said, I don't 100% blame Bonnie for not wanting to jump on board the Annalise train. So, Annalise just has to kind of figure this out on her own, that Bonnie does not want to work for you right now because she's trying to protect herself and protect you at the same time. All right, so Nate still has those files that Denver had. And, he still has this interest in Bonnie's because of, they said on one file it said child alive and all that kind of stuff. So, we move back over to Bonnie's office. She gets an instant message from Miller asking her, to come and help him go over his speech and all that kind of stuff. And Bonnie agrees that she's on her way. So when Bonnie leaves out of her office, there's a cup that she's been drinking coffee out of sitting on her desk. So Nate goes into her office and gets the coffee cup. And, he's down at the hospital talking to somebody. I don't know who she was. But basically, Nate has a DNA test. And he wants to know, with the cup that he is giving this lady, he wants to know if it's a match, from the DNA test to the cup and all that kind of stuff. All right, so in Annalise's class, the students are all pleading their cases to her. So, I think you had Michaela go. You had a new girl go. I think you had Laurel go. I don't remember who else went. I know Connor didn't go. But because actually when it was time for Connor to go, Annalise got a text from one of the people that, she had to offer from to call her, call them ASAP. So, Annalise is like, what, class is dismissed. Mr. Walsh, you can do yours tomorrow. And, Connor is following Annalise out. Basically questioning Annalise, about all stuff, because Frank said something to him about Annalise helping him like she did West. And Annalise like she was like, if you believe that, if you believe that, excuse me, you should not believe that because Frank is a liar and all that kind of stuff. So, because she was talking about, with him helping her with the class action suit and all that kind of stuff, she helped him get back into law school and all that kind of stuff. So now she's going to meet with all the firms, and at this point, each firm that she's met with that had previously offered Annalise an offer, they are rescinding the offers. And then she goes to the one firm that she talked to, and she asked the woman, like, what the hell is going on? She was like, you guys knew about my past, before you even offered me this these offers. And basically what it boils down to is the reason why Annalise is being turned down is because of Annalise going against the judicial system. When she went against the judicial system, they're now, coming down hard on her for doing something like that, which I think is wrong. She did something to help other people, and now she's getting backlash from it. All right, so Frank, he is still trying to get information on New West. And then Laurel comes into the room, and she's looking for Chris's giraffe, and she's just freaking out at this point. And then Frank asks Laura how she feels about her mom and all that kind of stuff. And Laura's like, she doesn't care one way or the other about her mom, and that basically with her sending that gown to her is just to make her feel good about herself and all that kind of stuff. And then Frank says if you show. Oh, so when when they were talking, Frank says he'll take care of her and all that kind of stuff, and then they start having sex with each other. I'm like, Laurel, this is what the others were trying to talk to you about. One, you are leading him on. You having sex with him and all that kind of stuff, but you talking about you don't want him and all that kind of stuff. And while they having sex, Annalise is on the phone calling Laurel. Basically, she's calling to check up on Chris. just and I like this. I like this side of Annalise where she's trying to check up on Chris and all that kind of stuff. It shows a completely softer side of Annalise. All right, so you got Frank. He's still trying to get information on New West and all that kind of stuff and why he's basically there. And then Laurel comes into the room. She's looking for little Chris's giraffe. She's going, she's freaking out about this because this is his favorite toy and all that kind of stuff. And then Frank asks Laurel how she feels about her mom, sending her the baptismal gown. Basically, Laurel doesn't care about her mom at this point. She feels like her mom is just doing this, to make herself look good and all that kind of stuff. And Frank is trying to show up for Laurel and all that kind of stuff, and talking about how he'll take care of her. And then they start to have sex with each other. And while they're having sex, Annalise calls trying to check up on little Chris. Then you go over to Nate. He's with the woman that is doing a DNA test for him on Bonnie and I guess New West. I'm guessing that's who's gonna be Bonnie's son is New West. They're having sex. And then you got Bonnie, she's in Miller's office, and they're going over his speech and all that kind of stuff. And they just talking, and then he tries to make a move at Bonnie, but Bonnie's like, we ain't doing that right here and all that kind of stuff. And then we move over to Michaela. Michaela is on the phone trying to call Marcus up to tell Marcus how she feels about him. So she's leaving a voicemail for Marcus, but the voicemail was like, I'm sitting here listening to this voicemail. I'm like, if I were on the receiving end of this voicemail, I probably wouldn't call you back because you can hear the nerves in Michaela's voice, but you weren't nervous when you had sex with him, so whatever. And then you got Asher. He's over there with Connor and Oliver, and Asher's trying to pretend like he's over Michaela, but you can clearly tell that he's not over Michaela because he hasn't been with anybody since Michaela. And then Oliver's trying to show Connor an apartment or a home so that they can live in, and Connor's like no and all that kind of stuff. And then Asher's like, well, why come, the apartment next to me is vacant, and it's Rebecca and Wes's old apartment. And, Connor's like, there's no way you can pay me to stay in that apartment. All right, so back in the class, the other students are pleading their case. You have New West and you have Connor both pleading their cases to each other. And, when New West was pleading his case, Annalise was kind of giving him a hard time a little bit. But then, at the end of it, I think he was kind of winning Annalise over. So he goes and sit down, and then when he sits down, he was like, I didn't really know how I feel about this. And Annalise had this little smirk on her face, and I'm like, yep, Annalise is taking a liking to New West, and New West is going to be New West. Like, we have a New West on the scene, and I'm like, oh my God. Because Old West used to work my nerves, so I'm like, New West is probably going to work my nerves just as well as Old West. Okay, so then you have Michaela, Connor, and Laurel. They go to this house that they think is going to be the spot that is for Connor and Oliver's wedding, and it looks like it's an old frat house. So they go inside, and there's Oliver, and they are like, you are not possibly thinking about having your wedding here. And Oliver says, no, I'm not thinking about having our wedding here. This is where we're going to live. And Laurel's like, I am not raising my son in this old frat house. And he's trying to plead with Laurel, and then Michaela's saying the same thing. She's not living there either. But then Oliver, who also gets on my last damn nerves, wants to guilt trip Michaela about what she did to Simon last season by, getting him in trouble with immigrations and all that kind of stuff. So basically, Oliver's trying to be like, you owe me for that. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, your fiance is right there, and you're still worried about Simon. He's probably in a country where he doesn't speak the language, like Pakistan and all that kind of stuff, and he can't be gay and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, Oliver, but your fiance is right there in front of you, and you are dead set worried about Simon. Why? You're supposed to be planning your wedding and all that kind of stuff, but you're worried about Simon. Okay. All right. So then we got Frank. He is talking to Annalise about the new students, and basically he's talking about New West and how he was lying and all that kind of stuff. And then Annalise is like, but you lied to me as well. So what's the difference? And then Annalise is like, you know what? I'm a changed woman. Take these files and get rid of them. I don't want to see them again. So, then Frank tries to suggest to Annalise that, her and Bonnie opened up a firm. And she was like, I need money to do that. So it's out of the question. So then she goes over to Tegan's firm, and she basically asks Tegan's, partners for money that she needs to, for the clinic and all that kind of stuff. So basically, they want to negotiate with Annalise about what she came in there with. And Annalise is like, you know what, there's no negotiation, so I'm about to get my ass up and I'm going to walk out. So then, after Annalise gets out there into the parking garage to go to her car, she gets a call from one of the partners, and he tells her, you have a deal and all that kind of stuff. So Annalise is happy at this point, and I'm like, you go, Annalise, like, play hardball to get what you want. All right, so we are back in the class, and basically Annalise is telling the kids that they are being sponsored by Kaplan and Gold for the clinic and all that kind of stuff. And she says that one student will get a year's worth of tuition paid, all expenses paid, and that student is going to be the one with the highest overall ranking at the end of the year. So she starts to she splits the students and tell them take seats, and the ones that are left standing, they leave. You can leave. So New West and Asher were the last two that were standing. And she starts to question New West about why he's in the class and all that kind of stuff, because she found out about another activity that would mess with his schedule and all that kind of stuff. And he lets her know that that's not going to be a problem. So she tells New West, take a seat, and that leaves Asher out. And Asher is basically in his feelings because, damn, all of my people are sitting down and here I am being kicked out the class. So I really did feel bad for Asher, because he's been ride or die with them since season 1. So I really did, like I said, I feel bad for Asher in that sense. All right, so then we have Frank. He is still talking to somebody. We don't know who he's talking to about New West. And then Laurel comes into the room, and she tells him how she and Chris are going to move in with Oliver and Michaela and all of them. And she's telling Frank how she basically doesn't want to feel like she's using him and all that kind of stuff. And Frank is telling her that she's not using him and using him. And then Frank gets down on his knees with a ring, and he asks Laurel to marry him. And Laurel, she denied Frank's marriage proposal, which I'm like, I guess that was smart. I'm not quite sure. So then we move over to little Chris's baptism. So, the kids are out there talking about Laurel basically denying Frank's marriage proposal. And then you look at Asher. Asher is still upset about this whole thing. They all got chosen, but he didn't. So then we flash forward to, actually, we go back to the day in the class, and he's talking to Annalise. And Annalise notices that Asher's not over Michaela, and that the case that he was, pleading against was more so to get him, more so about Michaela and all that kind of stuff. So she basically tells Asher that he doesn't know who he is and all that kind of stuff, and that's why she decided not to choose Asher. Okay, and then we also see also Michaela gets a text from Marcus. Marcus turned Michaela down, and then we see Annalise. She's at her new office. And, Tegan is looking at her in her office. Tegan does not look happy one bit about seeing Annalise in that office. And then, you have Nate. He is over at the hospital. And the woman that did the DNA test is telling him that it's a match, that they are a mother and son and all that kind of stuff. And, then we go back to where the episode actually began, was at Oliver and Connor's wedding. And we see baby Chris out in the cold snow crying, and we still see that blood trail. And then we see Bonnie come up, and she takes her hands and put it over the person's mouth and person's eyes, basically to suffocate them. So that was the season opener. Like the video, leave your comments, and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you later for Black Ink Crew and Real Housewives of Dallas.